All right, roll the tape.
Yep.
You're going to start off with a close-up review.
Let me know when you're ready.
Ready.
Okay. Welcome back to Motivation. I'm Ron Henderson, better known as the Fitness King, and I'm sitting with my good friend Andre Koen of the Horizon Group. Glad to have you here today, Andre.
I'm glad to be here, Ron. Glad to be here.
All right, so you're here today. You've been watching the show. We're talking about motivation, the importance of investing into your health. You have kind of a great story to talk to people about. First of all, what's the name of your business?
It's AM Horizons Training Group.
Okay.
And and I'm the founder and key facilitator of that group. We've been in business roughly about 10 years or so. And
10 years?
10 years.
But you look like you're 18, brother. So how can you be in business pretending looking like you're 18?
First of all, it's making good choices in terms of health.
Yeah, that's important.
And so I really like your metaphor of talking about financial, the parallel that you make between being fiscally responsible as well as thinking of your health as a fiscal responsibility that you have as well. And so I found myself drinking lots of water, making really good health choices.
Right.
You know, the partying and the kicking it that people did as young people, I stayed away from that stuff because I knew in the end that I would have to pay for that in some kind of way.
Right.
And I look at my counterparts. We just had our 25th high school reunion, and I looked at some of those folks who lived hard lives, and they had lots of fun, and they're currently paying for that fun with their health now. So, so I think making healthy choices, drinking lots of water. I mean, people really underestimate the power that water can actually give an individual.
Amen. We were talking about that earlier. Let me ask you a question. You're talking about motivation, okay? I understand you've got several books you've written. You have a great business. How did you start? How did you actually get the concept to start your business, Andre?
Yeah, well, it's kind of interesting. I'm the son of a preacher, so
son of a preacher man.
Son of a preacher man, and so so that lends itself to a certain kind of lifestyle. It also lends itself to exposure to certain kinds of things. And in my particular case, before my father was a preacher, he was a Black Panther.
Okay.
And so what people failed to realize about the Panthers was that they were a political party. And so they had they had a social agenda that they were trying to carry out. And so when my father, what we call when he got saved, he took that political agenda.
That's born again for you people out there that may not understand that. Okay. So, got Jesus in his life.
Yep. Okay. So he brought Jesus into his life, and or accepted Jesus into his life, and it became a preacher. But his social interests never really changed. And so he used the church as a method to help save people's souls, but also have them have a better life here on earth. And so as his son, I was exposed to that political environment. I was also exposed to that religious consciousness. And so with those two things, it became clear to me that I had a mission and a desire to help people reconnect themselves with their relationship with God, but also reconnect themselves with their relationships with each other. Okay. And so as a high school teacher, I found it very empowering to work with students to help them create or to close those gaps.
And how do you do that?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's important that you help people understand that here's something I want to share with you. I was sharing with the group just the other day that I was not born Black. Now, to look at me, people find that to be a different or an outrageous statement to say that I wasn't born Black. But the truth of the matter is, when I was born human. And that our society determined my Blackness.
Right. Okay.
And so one of the things that I try to help people do is to really peel away what has been given to us, the paradigms, the way we think, the way we interact with the world that has been given to us, and then what actually is the truth. How do we get to determine what that truth is? And so,
and let me ask you, how do you help people actually, you know, because I know when I'm talking a lot of times about people getting ready for fitness, I talk about like looking at your body like it's in the bad things that you've, kind of like an orange peel, and layer after layer comes off. How do you go about actually helping these people to peel those layers off?
Yeah, one of the things is we help people engage in conversations that are truthful conversations, right? So you talked earlier about the mirror. One of the things that mirrors do is mirrors don't talk. They only show you what's in front of them.
That's right.
And so when you see what's in front of you, in front of that mirror, one of the things that needs to happen is that you need to have some kind of cognitive dissonance. When what you see in the mirror matches what you see in your head about yourself,
right.
you say, I look good,
yeah.
or I'm fine, or things are okay. When there is cognitive dissonance, when you see the reflection in the mirror and it doesn't match what's in your brain, then you say, I have a problem.
Deep. This is a deep brother here. I like this. Yeah.
And so oftentimes what people do is that they look in the mirror and instead of saying that I have a problem, there's something that I need to change, they blame the mirror for their problem. Exactly. They say that the system is wrong, or I need a new house because these mirrors are all bad, as opposed to saying, I now have a dissonance, which means that I can close that by changing my behavior. Mm-hmm. So there's some things that I can do to see the kind of reflection in that mirror that I want to see.
And how much time does that actually take? When you're working with somebody, is it a couple months before they actually get that revelation?
Yeah, and that's there's a twofold response to that. First, if you believe, it's instantaneous. Mm-hmm. You can change your life instantaneously by believing in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Or believing in that change. Mm-hmm. For some folks, they don't have that instantaneous belief, so we have to work with them over a period of time. Mm-hmm. And so,
what's your average age group, if I can interrupt you?
Yeah, I typically I work with a lot of high school students. I find myself doing a lot more work with middle-aged adults, mm-hmm. in terms of how do they change the way they think. And so if you're a 40-year-old person, you cannot expect in 2 weeks to change those 40 years mm-hmm. of thought processes. Mm-hmm. I was speaking with a young man, and he said, my relationships with my friends have been bad for the last 10 years. Mm-hmm. How do I make those better? I said, after you've dedicated 10 years to getting to 0, that 11th year, we might start seeing some success. So it's a long process because we have to retrain and unlearn all of the garbage that sure. our capitalistic society, that our quasi-democratic society sure. has given us around, free choices and free market economy and, sure. and all this kind of stuff.
I'm going to interrupt you. Yeah. How old are you?
I'm 40.
Yeah. See, I'm interrupting him because I'm very, how can I say it? I'm very enlightened by you, the information that you're given. I think it's powerful. I like what you're doing, and you seem like such a young man to have all this wealth of information there.
I would say that as we say in my community, that's God. Mm-hmm. It's not that I'm so smart, but I think being able to access and connect with people is mm-hmm. the most important thing.
Sounds good. How many books have you written?
I currently have 2 out, and there are a number in production. And
mm-hmm. What are the name of your books?
So I have The Allegory of the Cave, which is just a takeoff of Plato's allegory.
Yeah, because I don't go in there in no caves. there's bats in them hills and them caves.
Yeah, so there's that. And,
I'm serious. I'm going there.
We also talk about micro-inequities. So we have a book on micro-inequities, and those are just the small things that aren't quite discrimination that cause people not to give their best discretionary effort. Mm-hmm. And so in all of our books, the main purpose for the work that we do is to help people change their attitude. Right. And typically when people have talked about attitudes, I think they've gotten the wrong idea or the wrong message about an attitude. Typically people talk mm-hmm. about it in terms of mm-hmm. some kind of emotional response or some kind of reaction to a situation. But if I can tell a story, I think it will illustrate an attitude.
Sure, I think we got a few minutes.
Okay,
I believe
cool,
so.
Cool. Yeah. So as a preacher's kid, on Sunday we would go to church from 7:30 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. Mm-hmm. We'd stop at 3 o'clock for chicken, mm-hmm. not because we were black, but because chicken is delicious.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And my son is sitting here, he's thinking, yeah, Dad, we in church a long time.
And so, what do I know about Sundays?
Mm-hmm.
Sunday is our day to worship, so we're in church all day. Right. And so Friday night, I'd ask my dad for the card because my dad loves me. What do you think he would say, Ron?
I don't know.
My dad loves me. He wants the best for me. What does he say?
He might be like I would be. I like, you can always get in better shape and run. Right? I mean,
But in the case of my father, what he said was, he said, go ahead, son, take the keys. Mm-hmm. So I take the keys, I go hang out, I put gas in the car, I come back before curfew. What kind of attitude do you think my father would say I had?
A good attitude.
A good attitude,
Good
right?
attitude.
And what would I say that my father had?
Good attitude.
A good attitude. So we both have good attitudes. So Sunday comes, my friend Dexter calls me and he says, Andre, can you pick me up for the movies? I asked my dad for the car on Sunday. What does my dad say?
I don't know.
What do you think he said?
I don't know.
What would you say if you were the pastor?
I'm not a good guesser.
Yep, if you were the pastor and you have church all day on Sunday and your son wanted to borrow the car to go to the movies and not be in service,
Well,
what
I
would
would
you
say no.
Yeah, my father said
my kids are always in church.
right?
And
So my dad said no. So I can't go to the movies, and I say my dad has what kind of an attitude? What kind of attitude do I say my father has?
I don't
Because
know.
he doesn't let me go to
I
the
don't know,
movies.
because I would say he's got a good attitude because he has the right to say that. I look at things differently.
Right? But as a teenager,
What
what would I say
So
my dad
dad's
had?
acting-
Yeah, I would say my dad has a negative or bad attitude, right?
Right.
Consequently, what does my dad say about my attitude?
Right, you got a bad attitude.
I got a bad
Right,
attitude.
and you did.
And so what? So what is it that actually determines one's attitude? What is it that determines an attitude? It is a
Perception,
goal.
yeah.
And so if you get what you want, you have a positive attitude. If you don't get what you want, you have a bad attitude. And so oftentimes when we talk about motivation, why are people not motivated to do a thing?
Sure.
They're not accomplishing their goal. So
Right.
they have a bad attitude towards exercise.
Now, don't get my message out. That's what's on my next show.
They have a bad attitude towards eating. They have
Sure.
a bad attitude because they don't think that those things are helping them accomplish their goal.
Sure.
But for those people who do see that as something that accomplishes their goal, it's no problem for them to exercise or to walk or
Exactly.
to make good, healthy choices about their health. So,
What's your success rate with the people you deal with? You know, if you're going to rate it.
yeah, that's a difficult question because I consider myself Johnny Appleseed. My job is to make sure that I put seed in many places as possible, that I help change people's lives so that they determine what their success rate is.
I like that.
And so some successes I haven't seen in 10 years, some are instantaneous, but it typically depends on how fertile their ground is when I spread that seed.
Okay. Do you find, what would be the number one reason that people procrastinate?
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up.
Shortly. I don't think we have a lot of time.
We don't have a lot of time.
Right.
But first of all, Ron, procrastination is a lie. I want to put that out there. There is no such thing as procrastination. What we've labeled as procrastination is people's choices to do other things than the thing that they know that they're supposed to do. And so, so trying to get people past this procrastination thing is really important to help them tell the truth that everything that we do is a choice. And all of our choices are trying to lead us towards our goal. And so if I want to help someone stop procrastinating, I help them identify what their goal is and ask them, is their behavior leading them to their goal? And if it's not leading them to their goal, they need to cut that behavior out. Because there is no procrastination. It's a made up lie.
Sounds good. I think I want him as my business partner. I like this guy. Okay. So if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, Andre, how would they do that? Do you have a website?
I do have a website. I can be contacted at andrekoen.com, AndreKoen.com. I also have amhorizons.com, which is also right on the web. We also can be found on YouTube and Facebook.
Okay,
So just look us up.
okay.
We're out there. We're ready to go.
Do you mind repeating that information for a guy that's 57?
Yep, I
Tell
will
me
do
again,
that.
tell me again.
Yep. So please contact me at Andre Koen, ANDRE.
So if somebody wants some information, they just want to, you know, they're watching the show and, and they're kind of motivated. Maybe they're even motivated. You know, the show is motivation. It's about motivating other people to do more with their lives. So maybe they want to call you and just talk to you again about how you got started. Maybe they're looking just for some tips on how to succeed at whatever it is, because I believe everybody should have a goal. And if you don't have a goal, you're really not going anywhere. You're just standing still. And so your message is very powerful. I think it's something that's needed, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would be the last thing that you would want to share with the listening audience that you think might help them?
Yep.
If you could sum it up in 60 seconds.
60 seconds, I would say, know what your goal is and hold on to that goal so strong that nothing can shake you from it. Be a pit bull for the things that you want in your life. Lock onto it and your whole life will change.
That sounds good. You know what? If you can, give him a round of applause. Andre Koen for Horizons. Love to have you back out in the future, Andre. I think your message is powerful, and I'm always looking at my producer, signaling me on how many seconds we have left or whatever. But love to have you on again, and have you maybe come on and talk a little bit more, get even more detailed about how you actually can reach into people's lives and pull the negative out and bring the positive in, because everybody has it inside. It's a matter, are they willing to let it come out of them? Yeah. Okay? Yeah. Because I believe everybody has a special gift inside them, but I believe that as people have locked that gift in because of the things that you've talked about, and because that they don't believe in themselves, and a whole host of things. So I want to thank you for coming on the show again.
No problem.
Have a good day. Take care. All right, thank you.